Welcome back to Beyond the Line of Scrimmage. We have made it to the National Championship preview show here. An amazing end to the college football season. Indiana versus Miami.
The line is actually moved up. Okay, so Indiana is favored now by 8.5. They were previously favored probably like a couple days ago, 7.5. So the line has gone up. Remember, this game is in Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, hometown of the Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman winner, hometown of the Miami Hurricanes. So we'll see if maybe that home crowd, maybe they got tickets, maybe they have an effect on the game. We'll see. Let's talk about the injury report. Not a whole lot for Indiana's side. Uh, these guys are all checked out in the semifinal game, so they're good to go. Miami's tight end, Elijah Lofton, questionable. Damari Brown, the cornerback, day-to-day. So you'd assume last game of the season, you want to give it all for your guys here to come back, especially if you got to tape that ankle up or whatever the case may be.
So we're kind of going position by position here, just showing all the key
Yep.
players who's going to be impactful. You've obviously got the Heisman winner in the quarterback, Miami native Fernando Mendoza, who is, by the way, a junior, which I don't think anybody realizes. He is quite literally a junior, not
Yep.
a senior like most people think. On the season, 41 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions, over 3,300 yards. Against top 25 teams is where he plays the best. His quarterback rating is 174 against top 25 teams. His team plays their best ball against the best in the business. That's what we've seen quite literally all season. These guys are consistent. These guys are clutch when they need to be. They're a coach's dream. This is a coach's dream quarterback right here.
Yep.
Both these quarterbacks complete the ball extremely well. They find their guys who are open, or they thread the needle and make plays happen. What we've seen with Mendoza has been the orchestrator of arguably one of the best offenses in the entire country, one of the most lethal with the pass catchers that they have, the rushing attack that they have behind a great old line. This dude just places the ball where it needs to go every single time. On the other side for Miami, you've got Carson Beck, who is I guess you would say, infamous in a sense, in terms of everyone thinks he's mid. Everyone thinks that he's not a good quarterback. Well, this year, and especially over the past couple games, he's proven all those people wrong. 29 touchdowns, 11 interceptions on the year. He's thrown for over 3,500 yards in this Miami passing attack. Also steps up to the competition against great teams. Against top 25 teams, he has 182 quarterback rating on average against top 25 teams. So both these guys, when the pressure is cooking the most, they step up and deliver. We saw that last week with Carson Beck against Ole Miss, leading a game-winning drive with a Walton touchdown to win the game. Completely dissected the Ole Miss defense. Overall in the season, he's got a 75% completion rate, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the class in the country. Again, many people overlook that because he was turnover prone in the past. I mean, he's thrown 11 interceptions this year. He's been playing his best ball all year, arguably his entire career right now. I think that this Miami offense is going to be able to make some noise, at least put a little bit of pressure, for certainly more pressure than what Indiana has had to face over the past couple of weeks.
Yep.
Miami themselves in the last 5, they're not as explosive, but they've been dominant, outclassed everyone that they played in the playoffs so far, largely in part to both of these quarterbacks. Coach, do you have anything to add on Carson Beck or Fernando Mendoza?
I mean, these are two of the best quarterbacks in the country. I don't care how good Carson Beck looked throughout the season. Right now, he's playing his best ball. Mendoza the same way. It hasn't thrown an interception in like 1,000 snaps, it feels like, at this point. So turnovers. That's going to be the key to the game for these quarterbacks. They got to figure it out. Moving on to maybe the most fun position group in this game, the running backs. Roman Hemby of Indiana, Kalen Black of Indiana as well. 2,000 yards respectively between the two, 17 touchdowns. Hemby has played very well in these past few games. Okay, 35 carries, 142 yards, 1 touchdown. Black has played equally as good, if not better. 27 carries, 162 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then, of course, you got to go to Miami's side. Mark Fletcher Jr., maybe my favorite running back in the class. 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, 41 carries, 223 yards in these last 2 games against Ohio State and Ole Miss. Those are very good numbers. And then, of course, you can't forget Chamar Brown, 469 yards, 7 touchdowns. 80 yards, 2 touchdowns in the last 2 games against these great teams. So, once again, one of my favorite groups as far as just every single guy there is equally a game changer as everybody else. So, what do you think about this group?
As good as the quarterback receiver cores are of both of these teams, I think this is where we will see the overall separation.
Yep.
Both these teams have solid to great pass defenses, but both these teams are they're two top five, top three rush defenses.
Yep.
So I think whatever team comes out on top in the rushing game, as long as both of them get it going and they're not just gunslinging it all over the place, I think that's where we will see the difference in who wins this game and who loses game. Who is able to make more happen while playing against these elite rushing defenses.
Like, not to stat watch or anything, but whoever has the better stats in this game combined will be the winner of this game, will be a national champion, because the fact that it's going to be so dependent on how many yards you can get on first down with the run, how many yards you can get on second down, and then where you're at in those third and long situations. So if Hemby and Black have the better numbers, they're going to win. If Fletcher and Brown have the better numbers, I think they can win.
If you're running the ball more, typically that means you've got a little bit of control or you've got an edge and something's right there.
Yep.
If you're forced to throw the ball, usually you're playing on the back foot. Maybe someone went down, or you got to let the puppy fly in order to get back in the game. We both think that the running back room will probably be the key factor in terms of who comes out on top of this game. Moving on to, again, every single one of these position groups is just awesome. Absolutely awesome. We have 2 receivers for each team, and honestly, it's not enough to cover everyone. There's more players that we should be covering that we're just not including here. But Indiana, these are 2 of the biggest stars of the sport. We got Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper Jr., both going to be off to the NFL after this year. Omar Cooper does have a year of eligibility left if he chooses to come back, which would be an absolute insane keep for Indiana. But Elijah Surratt, the back shoulder, God. 802 yards, 15 touchdowns, and the past 2 games against Alabama and Oregon, he's got 11 receptions, 115 yards, and 3 touchdowns, being absolutely reliable. Omar Cooper putting up similar, if not better numbers, 866 yards, 13 touchdowns, 6 catches for 62 yards, and 2 touchdowns in the past 2 games. Also, you've got Charlie Becker out there, who is a deep ball threat. He is going to be an absolute star next year, probably the most underrated receiver that will be for sure playing next year in this Indiana system. This is what Fernando Mendoza does best, is finding these guys, taking the little space that they gain to separate, attacking it, placing the ball perfectly where only they can get it. Both these guys have very similar play styles. Both can get that back shoulder fade. It's been one of the bread and butters of this Indiana offense. Now going over to Miami, these guys are probably the true lifelines of Miami. Malachi Toney, the freshman, has over 1,000 yards on the season, 9 touchdowns. In the past 2 games, he's gone crazy, but he has been getting keyed in a lot by those defenses because they know how good he is. He's got 10 receptions, 97 yards, and a touchdown. Made an incredible grab last week. One of the most insane highlights you'll see that was not a successful play, unfortunately. And arguably the star of the show, who this guy might be the guy who pops up with the stats in this game because Malachi Toney's been getting keyed in on so much lately. It's Keelan Marion, who's had 740 yards on the year, 2 touchdowns, but in the past 2 games against Ohio State and Ole Miss, he's had 12 receptions, 150 yards, and a touchdown. Arguably the MVP of that team, alongside probably Carson Beck. In the game against Ole Miss on that final drive, he was going crazy.
I mean, it's honestly just exciting to look at this list and see the NFL talent top to bottom. Every single one of these guys is getting drafted. And, I mean, the fact that Malachi Toney's a freshman, like, are we freaking serious? That guy catches everything under the sun. Okay, he's probably the second best receiver, maybe the best receiver in college football as we speak. Elijah Surratt, awesome. Reminds me a lot of Mike Evans, and a pro receiver for the Bucks. All these guys are going to make plays. You assume that Surratt and Toney are going to get keyed in a little bit more, so look for Marion and Cooper Jr., Becker, guys like that to be kind of your stat guys, if you're looking at the stats. So that'll be important to see. First of all, 2 of the best O-lines, D-lines we've seen in a long time, no question, okay? This O-line for Indiana has averaged 483 yards per game, okay? They are second in the FBS at 42.6 points per game, and they rank 4th in the Big Ten in penalties. They're 10th nationally in the run blocking grade, and they average 200 yards rushing per game. Okay, that led the Big Ten. They have only allowed 22 sacks in 15 games. This is the number that's going to blow your brains out. Okay, 11,495 combined snaps for this 1 through 5. Smith, Evans, Coogan, the transfer from Notre Dame, Lynch, and Benson. 11,000 snaps. That is insane. Okay, especially I remember last year we talked a lot about continuity on the offensive line. Okay, that matters a whole lot. Obviously, it's playing a big factor right here. Moving on to Miami. This is where, for some reason or another, they're averaging like 6'9", 300 pounds. Number 3 overall pass blocking grade for this Miami O-line. They're averaging 482 yards per game, one less than Indiana. Only 19 sacks allowed on the season, less than Indiana. They average 155 yards rushing. They have 26 rushing touchdowns on the year. Another one of those pop-out numbers, 7,430 combined snaps with this offensive line as well. You got Bell, McCoy, Brockermeyer, Cooper, and Magoa. Obviously, one of the bigger, stronger, tougher O-lines we've seen in a while.
The continuity in both teams is exceptional, and
Yeah,
like I said, we've hounded that for so long. It's just it matters to play together. It
yeah,
matters to grow and develop and understand tendencies. It takes a long time, a lot of playing together. These are just two veteran, overall, really mainly veteran teams with an immense amount of talent. This trench play is going to be vital going against both elite defenses. Something has to give.
yeah,
Something has to bend. Something has to break. Those who are going to be trying to break that, it's going to be these defensive lines. You've got the number 2 rushing defense in the country with Indiana. They've only allowed 6 touchdowns on the ground all year. Luckily for Miami, they like to throw the ball way more than they should. They got the second best scoring defense in the country. That we've seen them time and time again force turnovers, make big plays on those. We saw it last week to start the game against Oregon, pick 6. They've got 45 sacks on the year. They averaged 9 tackles for loss in the backfield. Shredding drives, taking away momentum is what they do best. The 2 guys to watch here is Tyreek Tucker and Mikhail Kamara. Tucker has 5.5 sacks and 12 tackles for loss. Kamara has 2 sacks, 7 tackles lost, and 4 quarterback hurries. Neither of these teams take many sacks. They don't really have many negative plays. Well, Miami's defensive line leads the country in sacks. This Miami team is the number 1 team in sacks in the entire country with 47. They have the number 6 rushing defense in the country, are only giving up 2.8 yards per carry, just under 3 yards a carry. You're not getting a first down if you run the ball 3 times against them. You
yeah,
just aren't. They're top of the ACC in scoring defense. So they are great. Not as good as Indiana when it comes to that, but
yeah,
again, they are home wreckers. Both of these teams are home wreckers. They don't allow you to get comfortable. They, they don't allow you to even talk back. They're winning the argument every single time. Again, something has to give. This D line for Miami is probably going to get more of the attention with the 2 highly coveted draft picks
yeah.
that they will be in Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain Jr. Mesidor has 56 tackles as a DN, 10.5 sacks, 15 tackles for loss, and he's forced 4 fumbles this year. That is insane
Yeah.
for a defensive end. And on the opposite side of him, you've got another top draft pick, Ruben Bain Jr., who himself, 8.5 sacks, 11.5 tackles for loss. He's even gotten a ball thrown to him for an interception. A big man interception is crazy. It is hard to move against these freaks. These guys are quite literally freaks on
Yeah.
the D-line.
Maybe the most notable thing here, Stephen Daly, remember he was their leader of that Indiana defense. He got hurt right after that Big Ten championship game. Maybe that plays a factor here, right? Like just maybe that matchup in general plays a factor. We haven't seen it come up against Bama or Oregon, but especially an O-line like Miami, especially D-line like Miami as well. So, I mean, these stats are just insane. They're all NFL freaks. They're all going to be high draft picks. One thing to note here, I thought like last week against Ole Miss, I guess it would have been 2 weeks ago, I didn't really think that they made that much of an impact. I thought Ole Miss found ways to slow them down. I mean, you know that Indiana's going to watch that film. They're going to prepare for it. They're going to find ways to slow them down. I don't think they're going to make that much of an impact unless they have that defensive game plan to figure them out. So the linebacker groups, maybe the most underrated groups that we'll talk about today. We have Aiden Fisher, my favorite linebacker of the cores. 91 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 2 interceptions. Indiana primarily runs more 4-3, so 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers. They will switch to 4-2-5, kind of like everybody else. Isaiah Jones, 76 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, an interception on the year. Maybe the newcomer of this team, Elijah Hardy, the sophomore, he led the team in total sacks at the linebacker. He had 8. He's primarily that third guy at the linebacker group I talked about in that personnel. They allowed 75 rushing yards per game as a group, only 2.9 yards per carry. Okay, so again, like you mentioned before, if you run 3 times on this group, you're not getting a first down. Okay, so you got to figure it out. Something's got to give here. Moving on to Miami. Mohamed Tour, the team leader in total tackles, was 73, includes 2 sacks. Miami likes to play more 4-2-5, which has kind of been more the popular defensive trend nowadays. 4 down linemen, 2 backers, 5 DBs. Wesley Bissett, 63 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 interception, and 1 forced fumble. These guys just fill up the stat sheet. And then, of course, you got these young guys, Kamal Bonner, Jalen Alderman. They've rotated in. This might be the key stat to watch here, especially if you're Indiana. Only 6 explosive plays allowed all season, okay? 6 that have allowed 40-plus yards, okay? Miami's defense is great at not allowing the big play, okay? And we know that Indiana, especially in these last 2 games, they've wanted to blow the top off the defense.
And moving in to the guys who are there to prevent those big plays, and like I said, every single position group is just amazing. I haven't been excited to talk about every position group ever. I'm never excited to talk about position groups. I'm like, oh, there's a couple good guys here.
Yeah,
you'll see him on the stat. You'll see him when you watch him. But this is quite literally NFL talent in every single group. You are watching the best of the best.
Yeah.
Indiana has had 18 interceptions total in the season. They are the number 1 team in turnover margin per game. Take the ball from you. They do not give it up. Everyone's just saying they don't make mistakes. I had someone in the comments saying, I thought this Indiana team doesn't make mistakes after we said their largest deficit was 7 points on the first play of the game, on the first play of the season. Brother, this team does not give you the ball in bad situations for themselves.
Yeah.
They don't. This group is led by D'Angelo Ponds, who quite literally has a reservoir, a pond of water named after him in Bloomington. Who else has one of those? No one. D'Angelo's Pond. Look it up. It's real. Highly rated pond, by the way, in Bloomington, Indiana. You also got Amari Farrell. These guys are crazy. Ponds is probably the most notable one. He's 5'9". If he was taller, everyone's saying he'd be a top pick.
Yeah.
He's still a great dude. For Amari Farrell, 47 tackles, 4 interceptions, 7 pass breakups. Ponds, very similar numbers. 55 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 7 pass breakups on the season. They even let him play on offense. He's a good offensive player, too. Like, they're not going to play him out there just to play him.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a troll move by Cignetti. That was crazy to do. I loved it.
Yeah.
You've also got Devin Boykin. He's got 56 tackles on the year, 6 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, and a sack. They have only given up 9 passing touchdowns all year. Wait, so this team's given up 6 rushing touchdowns on the season and just 9 passing touchdowns.
Yes.
Going over to Miami, top 5 scoring defense. I think Miami truly has to make Mendoza just throw a bad ball.
Yeah.
They have to in order to win this game. It's going to come down to the DB room. Xavier Lucas, the former Wisconsin transfer, we got a whole bunch of stuff last year. Not him, but the university and stuff. Wasn't a good time. 45 tackles, a sack, 4 fumble, and an interception on the year. Jacoby Thomas, 69 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 5 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles. This guy, he might be the one to be that playmaker, make something happen. And he also got Zachariah Poyser, who had 62 tackles, a sack, and a forced fumble so far this season. They've allowed 14 points per game. They are going against the number 1 scoring offense in the country. Sorry, number 3. They're really number 1 in my opinion. I don't care who's above them. The team they're playing against scores 41 points a game.
Really, when I was just looking at these numbers and then looking at the stats for these guys, it's really notable how much younger Miami is in the defensive back room compared to this Indiana team. Zachariah Poyser is a sophomore. I think Xavier Lucas, sophomore, junior, and of course they have some injuries in the back end as well. So they're not fully healthy in the back end, but they are all formidable defensive players, and they will lock you down. Of course, we can't forget about the special teams unit. You never know with these national title games on the line. You never know when it's going to come down to a big kick. You're going to need that extra point. You're going to need the 3 points. Maybe it's just a kickoff. You know what I mean? Maybe you need a touchback. All those things matter in this game. Talk about Nico Radicic, the sophomore Big Ten kicker of the year. 84 of 84 on PATs, 16 of 17 on field goals, 46 yards is his longest. Remember, this team averages 41 a game. Okay, so they don't need him a lot on the field goal unit. Okay, 17 field goals, not a ton, but maybe Miami can slow you down in that department. Okay, James Evans, the punter, averages 43 yards a punt. Their punt return unit averages 17 yards per return. Okay, that's pretty damn good. Angelo Pons, Jonathan Brady have each recorded a punt return touchdown this year. They haven't allowed a single blocked punt or kick, and they have blocked 3 punts, 3 field goals / PATs. So 6 total blocked kicks or punts on the year for this Indiana group. Maybe it plays a factor in this game. Moving on to Miami, Carter Davis, 17 of 23 on field goals, 49 of 49 on PATs. So these guys just don't miss PATs. Dylan Joyce, their punter, averages 44 yards per punt, 21 punts inside the opponent 20. Haven't allowed a single blocked punt or kick over these 15 games, but they have blocked 1 kick on the entire season.
So those are your players. Again, this is a star-studded national championship.
Loaded.
Let's start off with Indiana here. Again, this team seems to be viewed as in the driver's seat, and they have earned every right to be. They're currently 8.5-point favorites. They've been arguably the most, not even arguably, they have been the most well-coached team in the country. They have been overall the best total group, total unit, total team in the country up until this point. The only undefeated team in the country.
Can't talk about Miami without mentioning their electric playmakers, which is why the number one key to the game for Indiana is to tackle in space. Malachi Tony on a drag, Mark Fletcher in open space. You got to tackle these guys, okay? These yards are going to be at a premium, okay? Whoever wins the first downs, whoever wins the second downs, whoever has less yards to go on third down will win the game. Time of possession will win you the game, okay?
And what we've seen with Miami is they have been dominant in the time of possession over the past couple weeks,
Yes.
especially last week against Ole Miss. The only reason that game was close was because Miami kept on shooting themselves in the foot
Yes.
and gave an electric Ole Miss offense the opportunity to fight, to claw
Yes.
themselves back into that game. But they dominated the time of possession stat.
Second to tackling in space, obviously limiting the big plays. We talked about Miami's playmakers. They can do it all. Okay. Carson Beck completion rate 75%. 3 out of every 4 throws is complete. We got to be able to tackle in space. We also got to be able to make sure that these big plays can't happen. Number 2, continue to take shots downfield. It is the national championship game. That does not mean you all of a sudden you're nervous. You don't want to take the big shot. You have to swing. There's a movie called Everyone's Hero. Okay. It's a baseball movie. It's about a kid who has to learn to take the swing. Shoot for the home runs. This is a national title game. Okay. You have the best quarterback in the country in Fernando Mendoza with 3 really good, if not great, receivers. Okay. Take the big shots. There's obviously going to be more pressure on you, especially with Ruben Bain, Hakeem Methodor in your back pocket. Okay. You have to make quicker decisions, but also don't remember you have 3 of the best one-on-one threats in the game. Take the shots, trust the receivers that got you to this point.
It's making Carson Beck uncomfortable. Again, he's playing behind a great O-line. This dude is surgical. He's as surgical as Fernando Mendoza. He just has a little bit more mistakes under him compared to Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah.
Dude has been an absolute killer when it comes to the short to intermediate passing game when he's given time. And guess what? He is typically given time behind this great offensive line.
Yeah.
You saw it on the last, like I said, I go back to that last drive against Ole Miss. Absolute dice. It's onions, just chopping it up. Finds the right read. Finds the guy who's going to make the best play.
Yeah.
Best available guy, throws it, gets on the ball. Even when it's not Even when it's not actually a catch, they still get the ball. This dude is surgical. You've got to pressure him. You've got to get him off rhythm. Force him to be what everyone believes Carson Beck is or had been, is what Indiana needs to do to really control the game. If they do that, Miami doesn't like to lean on the run. They don't. They run the ball. They run the ball fairly well, but they don't lean on it. If you can get that passing game out of sync, out of rhythm, force him to, throw some turnovers like some people think he always does, Indeed, you got a great shot of winning this game. Biggest thing of every single game, this is probably the biggest padlock stat when it comes to a game of football, is third down. Both completing and converting on third down, resetting the chains, and also what the distance is of that. Is it a 3rd and 2 where, hey, they can run it, they can do an RPO, they get a choice? Or is it, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, and hey, Miami's got to throw the ball. Let's play a coverage shell here and let him force the throw. Make him come to you and do something. Past 2 weeks, Miami's been completing over 50% on third down against Ole Miss and Ohio State, 18 of 33. Indiana's even better. That would put them almost at number 1 in the country in a 2-week sample size. They have been fantastic on third downs the past 2 weeks. Indiana has been even better, by the way. That should be noted, which is insane.
Yep.
But again, converting at 54% on third downs is huge. Time of possession is the biggest thing. Like I said, this Miami team doesn't run a lot, but they find a way to control the possession some way, somehow. They are 4th in the country in terms of total time of possession with an average of 34 minutes a game. And I know that's that's just over half a game. When you combine it for a whole season, tons of different playing styles, this and that, and considering the fact that they don't run the ball a boatload of times, that's crazy. You look at the Ole Miss game, how much they controlled that game. It was 75% to almost 80% throughout the game in which they had the ball. You know what happens when you have the ball? The other team really can't score unless you make a terrible mistake.
Yeah.
If you've got the ball, you don't have Fernando Mendoza on the field against you. You don't have Elijah Surratt. You don't have Roman Hemby and that Indian offensive line going against you, converting, being surgical as they are, robotic. You're in control. You control the time of possession. Now, it also can mean that if you're in control of time of possession, you've thrown 4 picks, and Indiana's offense actually hasn't touched the field.
Indiana is the favorite here, obviously, so it's going to sound a little bit easier for Indiana to get this done as compared to what we're about to say with Miami. I think maybe the biggest one here is making Carson Beck uncomfortable. He's been elite, about as elite as you can be in these past few weeks, especially in playoff time. He's definitely earned his way onto some NFL teams here in these past few weeks. You just got to take the ball away from Miami. Just get it out of that offense's hands. The underdog Miami Hurricanes. My number one key I put down in this game is going to kind of coincide with breaking tendency here, but run the dang ball. Okay? You can run the ball. We have to figure out if you can do it for 4 quarters. Okay? This Indiana rush defense is the best in the country. You got to figure out if you can start leaning on them early. Okay? Remember, you're bigger, probably stronger. Doesn't mean you're smarter. Doesn't mean you know exactly how to beat this offensive line. Okay? But again, bigger, faster, stronger. You have to create opportunities for your guys on offense. Okay, your guys are Mark Fletcher, Malachi Tony, Keelan Marion, Jamar Brown, even Carson Beck, especially maybe Carson Beck in the run game would be a different key as well. Like him being able to utilize his legs, that's another great thing. We got to work on getting 4 yards to carry. Okay, 3 is not going to do it. 4 will do it. You can take 4. Probably the hardest one. Dominating on the defensive line. Okay, Indiana's rushing attack, one of the best in the country, forcing Mendoza to be more mobile, even though he is pretty dang elite. When he is mobile, you got to force him into those quicker decisions so he may make the wrong one. We haven't seen him do it a lot, but we know it's there. We've seen it throughout the regular season. It's not like he's invincible. We got to create long third downs. Okay, so again, stopping that Indiana rushing attack, stopping the big plays, force them to 3rd and longs. Okay, they are great on 3rd down, but I would love to see a stat that shows what their average third and down and distance is. Okay, because I guarantee you it's not a lot. They like to take big shots on 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. They're very smart when it comes to that.
Miami, you've got to find a way to get the ball back because,
Yes.
like we said, this Indiana team, their consistency, they score. They just put it all together and they do it all right. They're typically rarely ever trailing. And if they're trailing, it has not been more than a possession for the entire season. Indiana has truly, really never had to play on the back foot. You'd say maybe the Penn State game is truly the only time this season where it's like, hey, they really might lose. And they honestly should have lost that game in a sense. I mean,
Yeah.
what an insane catch. But guess what? They still made those plays happen. They still won the game. That's why hypotheticals don't mean shit in the sport where it is played on grass. Like I said, they've got to find a way to create turnover. You're playing against arguably the best team when it comes to taking the ball away and not giving it up. You are. They are quite literally the
Yeah.
best when it comes to that. They don't turn the ball over. They don't have bad penalties. Not really any false starts. Not nothing. Not no stupid throwing the helmet at some dude. You don't get those. You don't
Yeah.
get those character mistakes just in the spur of the moment with Indiana. It doesn't happen. So you've got to find a way to produce something, make him have a bad read, and force a ball, and he regrets it. You've got to get the ball back into your guys' hands and keep control of the game and find a way to build a lead that no one else in the entire country has done. Like I said, when it comes to those turnovers, you keep Indiana's offense off the field. Yeah, they have a top scoring defense in the country, but guess what? They don't get the ball. They have to take it away from you.
Yeah.
You're not going to give it to them. You might, but you're not going to. Slow the game down. Focus on the run game. Give it a little bit. You don't have to live and die by the run. You are an elite passing team. Embrace it. Get that time of possession how you like to. Keep Indiana off the field. Keep making them think. They're like, damn, if you're on the sidelines the entire game, you don't even have the opportunity to go out and fix your mistakes that you made. You're quite literally dwelling on that. Your mentality is out of sync from what it typically is because you can't get that adrenaline back in you because you're just watching Carson Beck and Mark Fletcher, Malachi Tony, and company move the ball downfield with ease or grit and grind. Miami must find ways to create turnovers and keep their offense on the field. Probably most obvious is just getting your playmakers the ball. These have been the guys you have relied on all year. These are the guys who have had the biggest plays of the season to get you here. I promise you they are here to win the game for you. At least get you in a spot to win the game. And whoever needs to take over in the moment needs to take over. Malachi Tony, again, he's been getting keyed in. So we've seen Keelan Marion have the better numbers. But Malachi Tony is a game changer. 15 catches, 119 yards, and 2 touchdowns in his 3 playoff games. He is electric. He is electric. He is electric. The best freshman receiver in the country. And then you've got Mark Fletcher, an absolute workhorse. An absolute workhorse of a running back behind your great offensive line. Please just give him the ball. I promise you good things will happen. He's at 395 yards on 58 carries in the 3 playoff games total. Give him the ball. He will make something happen for you. And if he doesn't, well, guess what? Carson Beck's still throwing at 75% a clip. Let him throw the ball if they need to throw the ball.
Yeah.
Coach, final takeaways on Miami.
More than anything, Miami needs to win or at least attempt to win this game. Don't play to lose. You have to take some chances here. 4th down, maybe a fake punt, maybe a fake field goal. Like, these are the things that legends are made of as well, especially in national championship games. But also, you have to understand you're the underdog. Okay? Don't come in with the mentality that you're the favorite or that you're better than this team. You can think you're better than this team, but we all know you're not. You're trying to actively take away time of possession from Indiana. Okay, and the best way to do that is to change up your tendencies. Getting your playmakers the ball, pretty obvious, but like we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago with Ole Miss on that final drive, I feel like they didn't give Mark Fletcher the ball nearly enough. Okay, granted, there's 4 minutes left. Doesn't matter. They still had 3 timeouts, whatever the case may be. So get your playmakers the ball. You got to dominate on the defensive line. If you don't, it's over. You got to find a way to create turnovers. Mendoza doesn't turn the ball over. I mean, again, you're the underdog here. You got to act like it. You got to play like it. You got to play to win. Maybe the number one question I'm going to ask you. Obviously, a lot at stake here with different coaches, different
Mhm,
players, legacies on the line across the board.
mhm.
Question number one: what does this do for Kirk Cignetti's legacy, maybe at Indiana, but also in the sport of college football as well?
I mean, it's easy. It's the greatest story in college football history. There's no question about it. Turnaround, where he came from, he bet on himself, who he is, how he carries himself, how he carries others. This dude's just one of the all-time guys. Already, I think he's an all-time guy in terms of what he has done so far in the sport in the very little time he's been in the spotlight. But no, he easily becomes one of, if not definitely debated, best coach in the country. That's going against Kirby Smart, Ryan Day, and this guy's also doing more with much, much less than what any of those other guys have ever had. If he wins one championship at Indiana, 3 years ago, if I tell you, hey, Indiana's playing against Miami, who do you got? Miami's gonna murder Indiana. Who
Yeah.
cares? I'm not watching that game. Oh, it's for the national championship, and Indiana's an 8.5 point favorite. Brother, I don't need to say more. It's continued growth for Indiana football program. It is sky high. Indiana is literally turning into a destination. Bloomington, Indiana. It's not basketball. This is football. And it's not the 1980s. This is 2026. So that's my opinion on that. I'm going to ask you this. Let's go the opposite. What about Mario Cristobal?
We talked about this a little bit before. I think definitely puts him at the head of the table conversation. He's obviously been an elite recruiter his entire coaching tenure, especially from his days at Oregon as well. We've never seen him get over the hump. And finally, even if he doesn't win this title this year, like he's still now in that conversation because of these games that he's gone out and won. And when I say gone out and won, he's taken the game over with his group. Okay, it's not like it's been controversial. There's been nothing that's been left up in the air for questions. He has firmly won these games with his squad. Cristobal, as well as Carson Beck. I mean, what a career for Carson Beck, especially if he gets a ring himself. Especially all the drama that we heard at the beginning of the year with him and the Cavender twins, whatever the case may be. He finally gets to cement himself as an all-time great quarterback in this sport. Miami finally gets to say that they're back. The U is back. Definitely not the same as what it used to be, but
It's the
it's
new
a
you.
newer version. Very significant for both of these sports. I'll ask you one more question, and maybe
Also,
you can
real
ask
quick
me another
though,
one.
the discourse for Miami though is gonna be crazy. They can finally strut their stuff again in the state of Florida. Oh my goodness.
I mean, you finally get to talk your shit about you being the best school in Florida. You got Miami, Florida State, USF, all those different schools, and you are the one that's national champion. Especially maybe in arguably the hardest era to win a title when you got to go through all these great teams just to win it. What is something that you think will shock most people about this game coming up on Monday night?
I think the level of defensive play, I don't think people realize, like, I don't think it gets talked about as much just because obviously how high profile the playmakers on offense are, but how just elite both of these defenses are and their ability to knock guys out of rhythm. I think that'll be the biggest thing. And I think down the road, I think it's gonna be the overall talent that we're gonna come back and see that played in this game that we were like, "Holy moly."
Yeah.
We were watching gods play, as what we say about 2010 quarterbacks, 2000s to 2010s quarterbacks
Yep.
is gonna be said about these group of guys because there is NFL NFL-bound players all across the field. And again, this is a culture shock. It's not just a shock, this is a culture shock for whoever wins the title. Miami winning a title, it was unfathomable. Not even unfathomable, that's not fair to say, but no one other than Miami fans would have thought that was possible this year.
Yeah.
And for them to go out and beat some of the hottest teams in the country, beating the best team in the country as well in route and doing that, the two best teams in the country, you may say, in terms of Ohio State. At home as well, beautiful, completely changing the conversation about Miami. And then you go to Indiana's side, obviously, Indiana winning a national title. It's a culture shock. It's going to have massive ramifications on the sport all across the board. So those would be the few things. It's the overall elite level defensive play that I think people maybe know about, but don't realize how deep it stretches. Like, I think most people might realize that both defensive lines are great or DB rooms are great. I don't think they realize how collectively both units are some of the best that we've seen in a while. What do you got for that same question? Like, what do you think is
Um,
going to be the biggest surprise factor?
I was thinking about it. I think just going in depth more on what you said, just the speed and the size of Miami versus the, I guess, finesse, I guess, lack of a better term, how smart this
How well
team is.
coached,
Yeah, how well coached, how well prepared, all that
how
stuff,
together they are.
how
Hmm.
together they are, this Indiana squad. Not that Miami isn't the same way, but there's definitely a certain difference when you have guys of lesser talent playing as well as they are compared to NFL guys littered all over front and back on this Miami roster. They're both playing at an elite level. The speed will be crazy. The size will be definitely a difference. I'm kind of interested to see, like, are they going to be able to lean on Indiana a little bit? I mean, if they do, I mean, they definitely win the game. If they don't, then I mean, obviously Indiana wins the game. So that's definitely the padlock there for me. This question just kind of interests me. Like, what happens if Indiana trails for a significant amount of time?
Hmm.
And obviously, the answer is we don't really know because we haven't seen it this year. There are things you can kind of like infer, like maybe they start feeling a little more pressure, a little more like, okay, we have to get this. Maybe we start forcing things that aren't there. All of a sudden, Miami's up 2 scores against a team that's never been down 2 scores. So
Hmm. I mean,
that's
really,
one thing.
all we've really got is the probably the best example is that Penn State game.
Yeah,
Maybe Ohio State. Iowa was tight, but I wasn't really leading or in the driver's seat in that one.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's really probably that Penn State game. And what we saw was one of the most beautifully orchestrated drives we've seen all year. Given the fact that they have not trailed by more than 7 points all year, I think Indiana is okay with being a little uncomfortable, but I think they're good, really good under pressure with what we've seen in their tight games. They've, like I said, they come out and produced every single time. If Miami mounts a big lead, I just have a feeling they're going to find a way to Miami it. And I think Miami fans probably feel the exact same way as how are we going to find a way to, for lack of better words, to screw this all up.
Maybe just to kind of play cat and mouse a little bit on that. You're having Carson Beck, who's playing as well as he's ever played. Definitely your game manager type quarterback. So if you do have a big lead, there is, I mean, like, yes, it's Miami, but there's also a Cristobal that's matured over all those mistakes that he's made. There's also Carson Beck who's matured over all those mistakes
Well,
he's made. So
who's to say Cristobal doesn't throw the ball when he can just kneel it out?
let's get on to what probably most people are here for, Indiana and Miami. I have Indiana 31-20. I think Indiana will have firm control of this game. I don't think it gets out of hand. I'd be surprised if it does. I also think Miami can hang a little bit, and they should be able to. But overall, Indiana more well coached, more well prepared, better players at the position that matters the most, and that's quarterback.
For me, I've got same answer, different way of getting there. I think that Miami jumps out to. I think Miami might take the lead early in this game, but I think that they start to get pressure cooked a little bit by Indiana, and then Indiana just keeps surmounting, keeps driving, and just continues to do what they've done over the recent games: dominate, control, and execute. So I think Indiana, and judging by recent national championship games, it's not as close as everyone thinks it's supposed to be. Typically, because usually one team is just the class of the field, and that team this year is Indiana. I've got Indiana winning by 3 scores, 38-17. Could be more, in my opinion. I'm not putting anything more on that. I think there could be more points than 38-17.
It's also hard to not ignore the signs that these teams both show. Like Indiana's been near perfect. You know what I mean? That's due to their
Mhm.
preparation. That's due to how well coached they are. Miami, you've seen the penalties in certain spots where you don't need them, especially with that Oregon game last week. Like you saw the signs in the Texas Tech game. Okay, like it was there. They weren't well prepared against Texas Tech, and they definitely didn't show up well prepared against Indiana. There's definitely some merit for Indiana, beating Miami by 3 scores in this game.
I think this one is probably the first one to, I'd say, 24 points. I think Indiana's going to surpass that. If Miami can get that rushing game going, though, I I can start to be convinced.
Maybe the better question to ask: what is the maximum number that Indiana can score that would allow Miami to win the game?
21.
You think 21's the number?
Yes. Who do you trust more in a shootout?
Well, yeah,
I,
pretty
I'd
obvious
say
there.
I'd say if you can keep Indiana under 21, chances are you're going to win this game. But also, all those games that have been around that point, Indiana has won.
This is one of the most fun games we've talked about on the show for sure. Make sure to go check out our Twitter, our TikTok, Instagram. We're posting shorts there every single day. Make sure to check that out. That is Minx. I'm Coach Bohr, and this is Beyond the Line of Scrimmage. Deuces.